So, after painting miniatures for the first time last week, I had a pretty clear path where I wanted to improve on my technique. And there were a few things I wanted to try out, and this week I'm actually quite happy with the results. I can't wait to show you how much I improved on my second try. These are my victims for the second try. For these dire wolves I want to try out if just black zenithal highlights and red eyes would look good, and if just black, white dry brush and red eyes would look good. The two guards in the middle I will try to paint one just as I did before, but this time don't mess it up with the clear coat. And the other I won't do any zenithal highlights, so I actually see the kind of difference they make. And for the last one I want to try out the paint scheme I proposed last time, so just white base coat, green highlights and then a strong tone wash, and let's see how good that looks. And if that looks good, I have like a dozen or 2 dozen of those undead guys to paint. So here we are in my backyard, this time on the outside, beautiful summer day, to do the base coat. And just as before, thin coat from every side. The guidebook said to spray from distance of about 20 centimeters, so that's what I'm aiming for. And I'm starting with the black, the white I will spray later. So once the black minis have dried out, about 10 to 20 minutes, I spray my one lone white guy, same as before. And then I do the zenithal highlights on the other one. This time I have shaken the spray can vigorously for a hole in it, and I'm spraying from further in. So I hope I don't get this film grain snow effect, but a finer color differential. Let's see how this turned out. And I think the highlights turned out better than last time. There's a stronger contrast here. And while it's still a bit grainy if you get too close, it looks a lot less like snow than last time. Starting with the Undead Warrior, very easy paint scheme. I just have to highlight the flesh in bluish green and the sword in metallic green, and then it's ready for the wash. The black direwolf is just getting a white dry brush. So I'm putting some white in my almost dry brush and then make sure to get most of the color out again, and then gently brush along the ridges so that the details of the model will be highlighted. And I think that came out looking quite striking on this very model. Painting the completely blacked out guard proved to be a challenge because it required a thicker layer of paint to get any kind of coverage over the black. So if I wanted to go with a monochrome base coat, just use one color, I should be using the base color of the model. For this, that should be something like grey, brown, or maybe red, but certainly not black. It's no wonder this guy came out so damn dark. His brother in arms was easier to paint, and the zenithal highlights really worked, I think, giving contrast between light and shadow on this model and highlighting some of the areas. What I found challenging was separating the leather parts. He is wearing like a leather cross belt, a leather belt, and doing these fine detail work there. That was a bit challenging. I haven't come up with a super easy, quick to do paint job for these guys yet, but in the end I was pretty happy with how this one turned out. So I did the washing on the 3 minis that got it, and this time I'm doing the clear coat in the same fashion I did the base coat, so very small controlled bursts, so I get good coverage but only a thin translucent cover. Now, I thought the wolf was the best from the first batch of models. And among the 3, the fully painted, the only black and white zenithal highlight, and the only black with white dry brush, the first one probably still looks the best. Second one is not bad. The third one is kind of striking in its own way. So for the next one I will try out zenithal highlights and dry brush, combine that. And I also want to try to make a more brownish wolf, light brownish wolves, and then wash it. See what then happens. The Undead Warrior turned out better than I had hoped. I mean, you can't see any detail on this anymore. This is just such a mess. But this one has... Can I get my camera to focus? This one has so much fine detail on there. And the wash is really highlighting that. And this almost makes me want to go back with a little bit more greenish bronze and highlight some of the adornment this mummy type has on his grave, on his mummy bindings. But overall, with this technique, I can probably paint a dozen or so in an hour. This was really fast. Finally, the Townsguard. So, yeah, the second one, the one in the middle, is what I wanted to do in the first place. This is a solid attempt. You can see a lot of detail on his armor. This is the one without zenithal highlights. And this has just become a bit too dark for my taste. Doesn't look bad actually, but the colors are just so dark and muted, and so I like the other one better. So yeah, that's how much I improved on my second try. Thanks for watching and goodbye.